My child came home from school, dropped their bag, as is normal when they got home from school. Then, very matter of factly, after asking how their day went, I was told, Mom, we had a lockdown drill today. We were told to hide in a corner in a group, huddle together as close as possible, and be really quiet so no one heard us. This is what they were told to do if there was an active shooter in the school. I was mortified, but she wasn't. She wasn't even like a little bit scared. She wasn't traumatized. She was just reporting her day as if she was talking about what she had for lunch. I remember standing in the kitchen after she moved on to the whatever it is that she was doing next. Kind of numb, kind of still, I suppose in shock. 'Cause I was trying to figure out which part of that sentence I was supposed to respond to normally. Because in my world, there's nothing normal about that. I personally went through the schools in the United States and I never had to do an active shooting drill when I was in school, but my child has to. She was normal about it, so I was trying very hard to not raise any kind of alarm. But I have to admit that that definitely broke something inside of me. Not the drill per se, though I do have severe problems with how she was taught to protect herself, but more so the normalcy of it, because she didn't know it wasn't normal. I mean, how could she? She'd grown up in it. Active shooter protocols were part of the school day, just like fire drills. The United States handed her that reality so quietly, so routinely, and she had no reason or thought to question it. I had, and I was at that point. I just hadn't done anything about it yet. See, the thing that no one ever tells you about the moment everything shifts is it doesn't actually feel like a revelation. There's no like parting of clouds or anything. It's so much more subtle than that. It's so quiet, like something that you've been tolerating that you realized all of a sudden you never should have been. That a line you didn't even know you had been crossed. And then realizing it probably was crossed a long time ago. You just either didn't want to see it or didn't want to admit it or was blinded in some way. I didn't pack a suitcase that night, of course. Took another couple years of moments like that stacking up. Healthcare bills, work schedules, that particular kind of exhaustion that you feel when you live in a country that's run on fear. But I finally moved eventually. It was a call from the school, not an emergency call. And it wasn't a call, it was a text. A notification, the kind that you get, a picture days coming or permission slips on its way out to you for a field trip. Very calm, very efficient, very professional, no emotion at all. Letting parents know that there had been a lockdown that day. Kids were not going to be let out of school until they felt that it was safe for them. But the text also says, don't worry, everything is fine. Everything is fine. I stood there looking at my phone in disbelief. Like maybe I wasn't reading it properly. Maybe I wasn't comprehending it. Maybe I was stressed and I wasn't thinking straight. But I kept reading it over again and again and again. I kept having to hear it in my head again and again and again. Message from my child's school informing me that they were locked in the school because of an active gunman in the area. And the first thing I thought of was, That shooter drill that they taught her is not going to work. What if she's not in the middle of the huddle? Eventually, the gunman was apprehended by police and the children were let go and were able to get on the bus and go home to their families. And I hugged my child harder that night than I think I ever did in my life. And I remember sitting in the living room after she went to sleep and just looking at my partner and saying very quietly, without much emotion, I think it's time to go. I think we need to move to England. Not in a someday abstract, maybe when we retire kind of way, not when the timing is right or when we have enough money. Just we just have to go. And then when I was saying it out loud, something that I have to be honest ran through my brain many, many times before, but I'd never said it out loud before. I had to face something that night, though, that I hadn't let myself look at really before. Something that had been sitting underneath everything for a long time. I was being really selfish because I was staying for me, not for my child, for myself, not for my partner, for myself. Because leaving the United States meant admitting I couldn't fix things. I couldn't figure out how to make it work. It meant I had to surrender this version of the United States that I had grown up believing in. The ones that my parents believed in, the one I'd been handed at birth and never thought to put down. And giving all that up felt kind of like a betrayal. And I didn't know if I was ready to really commit that betrayal. But I also knew that I couldn't keep my daughter in a school system that sends lockdown notifications via text the way other schools send home like test reminders. It's a choice. And up until that night, I was choosing my comfort over her reality. And I just couldn't justify it anymore. We started making real plans. And somewhere in the middle of making all those plans, something else happened that I couldn't have prepared for or anticipated. I went back to visit my high school before the move was finalized. And it felt very different. I walked around the streets that I had grown up on, that I had walked home from school and the bus stop for, I don't know, 10 years or so. I watched the cars go on the highway. I noticed lights that come along with strip mall parking lots at 6 o'clock in the evening and twilight time. The sounds of brakes and horns honking at traffic, people getting in and out of their cars, blaring music. The rhythms of a country that I'd lived inside my whole life. But it didn't feel like home anymore. Just it just felt like this place that I used to know.